Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my week number 18 defenses to stream for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, we're going to be going in depth into 5 different defenses that I believe you guys should be looking to pick up off the waiver wire right now based upon their matchups on the week. But before we could get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. I would also like to ask, if you guys are on Twitter and would like to follow me on there, to please do so at Notorious FNTSY. The link to my Twitter is also down below in the video description. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 18 defenses to stream. We begin with my number 1 streaming defense on the week, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Denver Broncos this week in Denver. Right now, currently, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is being rostered in 46.7% of leagues on NFL.com. If you play on Yahoo, ESPN, CBS, any other fantasy football platform, then the roster percentage is going to be slightly different for the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as all the other defenses that we discuss in today's video. The Kansas City Chiefs went up against the Cincinnati Bengals last week in Week 17 in Cincinnati, and the game did not go too well defensively for them. They had 4 sacks, but they ultimately had 34 points allowed as the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals ran train on the Kansas City Chiefs defense, which should have been expected as the Cincinnati Bengals are on fucking fire. Joe Burrow has really heated up over the last couple of games, especially up against the Ravens 2 weeks ago and last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs. But there is a big difference between the Kansas City Chiefs defense going up against the Cincinnati Bengals when compared to going up against the Denver Broncos like they are this week, because the Denver Broncos offense without Teddy Bridgewater looks like complete and utter dog shit. The Chargers defense last week up against the Denver Broncos at home in LA, they had 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, and 13 points allowed. I understand that the Denver Broncos rushing offense is actually pretty solid, and they may be able to get a couple of points off of doing that, but at the end of the day, with Drew Lock under center, they are just very prone to making all these stupid fucking decisions where Drew Lock just says, fuck it, X receiver is out there, just launches the ball down the field, throws it right to the defense. That's just what Mr. Horsecock Drew Lock does. So this week, the Kansas City Chiefs defense seems like they're in the optimal position to succeed this week up against the Denver Broncos. Next up, we move to the Les Titans, the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. The Titans defense is currently being rostered in 23.6% of leagues. So the Tennessee Titans last week, they went up against the Miami Dolphins, my favorite team, and they absolutely demolished all of my hopes and dreams of them potentially making the playoffs. The Titans defense had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 sacks in the game. They had 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 points allowed. The Dolphins offense looked terrible in that game. Tua Tagovailoa was getting slapped around behind the offensive line. Why was that happening? It's because the Tennessee Titans have a solid defense, but it's also because the Miami Dolphins offensive line sucks complete and utter donkey dick, and the Tennessee Titans absolutely exploited them. This week they go up against the Houston Texans, and I will be one of the people that is going to bang the drum for the fact that the Houston Texans aren't completely shit, right? A lot of people like to kind of push the Houston Texans aside and say, hey, this is one of the worst teams in the NFL. They can't do anything offensively. And while they may be one of the worst teams in the NFL, Davis Mills is far from some schlub of a quarterback. But at the end of the day, even with all of that somewhat praise I was giving the Texans, last week the 49ers defense up against the Houston Texans, they had 3 sacks, 1 interception, and 7 points allowed. While I think Davis Mills could have an alright game here going up against the Tennessee Titans defense, at the end of the day, the Houston Texans offense just really isn't all that good. I do like to sing the praise of Davis Mills, because it seems like me, as well as everyone, was completely wrong on that man. The man with the big neck might be able to get it done in the future for the Houston Texans, but right now, where they are sitting, I think the Tennessee Titans are in a very solid position to have an excellent week in terms of fantasy football. Next up, we move to the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. The Packers defense is currently being rostered in 73.6% of leagues. I understand that that doesn't mean that they're available in a majority of leagues. That is why there are other defenses in this video that are obviously available in a majority of leagues. So the Green Bay Packers going up against the Detroit Lions. This one you could probably figure out as to why I want to play the Packers up against the Lions. It's because the Packers defense has been playing chef's kiss, Manu Fweek, phenomenal the last couple of weeks, and the Detroit Lions offense, while Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like the second coming of fucking Jerry Rice, at the end of the day, the Lions offense is still trash. The Packers defense up against the Minnesota Vikings, 2 sacks and 10 points allowed up against Sean Mannion. The biggest worry here is that this is just a complete and utter beatdown, and the Packers defense pulls all their starters halfway into the game, because this is just a certified ass whooping. Now, is that a lock to happen? Of course not, but when you're talking about week number 18, when you are talking about the number 1 team in the NFC, it is entirely possible that if they're up by 1 million, they're going to bench their players. Now, again, can you anticipate that happening? No, but it is something to mention. The Seattle Seahawks went up against the Lions last week, and this was a demolishment. They had 3 INTs and 29 points allowed. I understand that 29 points allowed isn't the best, but 3 INTs is amazing, and the Packers defense is far superior to the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks defense this year just looks like a shell of what they were in the past, where they were the 12th man, the best defense in the NFL. That is far from what they are right now, but the Green Bay Packers do have a solid defensive unit, and going up against the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell, I just expect the Packers to lay the pipe to that ass like they are a plumber, so I love the Packers defense this week. But before we break down the final 2 defenses that I want you guys to be streaming for week number 18, I would like to ask that if you have ended up enjoying thus far, to please make sure to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. I would appreciate it greatly. Next up, we move to the Washington football team at the New York Football Giants, currently being rostered in 34.2% of leagues. Now, I understand, Nick, you've been shitting on the Washington football team defense all year long. You've been talking about how in the offseason, everyone wanted the Washington football team defense to be amazing, and they fucking suck. They were all wrong, and you were wrong too, because you also thought that, because everyone thought that. Everyone in reality thought the Washington football team was going to have this monster defense. They haven't recently. But going up against the Giants could make any defense, no matter how good or how bad they are, look like the 85 Bears. Washington defense went up against the Philadelphia Eagles last week, 1 sack, 20 points allowed, and multiple fans fell into the stadium trying to high-five Jalen Hurts. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but there was a bunch of fans reaching down. It was like the Eagles. It was like an Eagles home game, but it was in Washington. They're all going down. They're like, high-five, Jalen. Give me a high-five. And Jalen reaches up, and all these motherfuckers crash through the thing. Like, it's not like they actually tried to do it. It's just that the Washington football team stadium is just that bad that it just collapsed. It was hilarious. It was one of the funniest videos ever. I am glad that Jalen Hurts did not get hurt, though. But at the end of the day, we don't really have to talk too much about the Philadelphia Eagles. What we need to talk about is how fucking bad the Giants are. Joe Judge is an embarrassment. Now, do I think Joe Judge will be back next year for the Giants? Potentially, because there doesn't appear to be all of these head coaches that are magically gonna appear to be the guy for the Giants. You know, a lot of the head coaching hires, people are bringing up like Dabo Sweeney. He's not gonna fucking leave the Clemson Tigers. But yeah, I think that the Giants are going to be stuck with Joe Judge, and this offense is abysmal. Doesn't matter if it's Jake Fromm. Doesn't matter if it's going to be Mike Glennon. Doesn't matter if Tom Brady was traded to the Giants, because Tom Brady couldn't even fix this shit show that is occurring in New York. Last week, the Chicago Bears, whose defense don't look like they used to. They don't look like the defense of the last couple of years. Even with that said, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. They had not 1, but 2 interceptions. They had 2 fumble recoveries. They had 1 safety and 3 points allowed. They absolutely put the Giants defense, or the Giants offense, I should say, in a body bag. They also put the Giants defense in a body bag because the Chicago Bears absolutely steamrolled the Giants. The Giants offensively, defensively, special teams, they're complete shit. And in these videos, I've made 18 of them thus far this season, the defenses to stream videos, you guys will notice a common theme. It is streaming defenses up against the Jets and streaming defenses up against the Giants because their offenses aren't that great. The Jets proved me wrong. They're looking a little bit better recently. The Giants are just trending the opposite way. The Jets are trending up, looking a little bit better. The Giants are falling off the edge of the goddamn earth. I despise the Giants. They are so bad. The Washington football team, again, not the greatest of defenses, but they will easily be able to get it done up against the sorry New York football Giants. And I think someone pointed it out that I shouldn't even call them the New York football Giants, the New York not-so-football Giants, because they stink. Final team here to discuss is the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Cleveland Browns this week in Cleveland. Right now, the Bengals defense is currently being rostered in 9.8% of leagues on NFL.com. The Bengals defense last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs, they had 31 points allowed, but hey, They won the game. I'm sure they don't really care about that. Going up against the Chiefs offense has proved to be very hard. The Chiefs were getting body bagged by the media early on in the season. If you guys remember, everyone was making fun of the Chiefs, and I wasn't necessarily making fun of the Chiefs, but I was like, man, have the Chiefs fallen off? Like, I'm not going to say, I never said that Pat Mahomes was washed. People were bringing that up. And then out of nowhere, the Chiefs skyrocket to look like the best team in the NFL. I understand they lost to the Bengals last week, but they're an amazing team. So you can discount the Bengals allowing 31 points and not getting any sacks, any interceptions, because of how good the Chiefs offense has looked as of recently. And since the Browns play tonight up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I want to go ahead and back it up all the way into week 16 to look at their opponent's defensive stats. In that game, on Christmas, week 16, the Green Bay Packers faced the Browns. The Packers defense had not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 sacks in that game. They had 4 interceptions and 22 points allowed. The Bengals defense, again, not the best defensive unit in the NFL, but a lot better than what the stats showed last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs. So going up against the Browns that are out of the playoffs, the Browns with an injured quarterback in Baker Mayfield, the Browns, the team that really disappointed this year. I love the Bengals defense this week. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. I would appreciate it a ton. I love you guys all so much. I hope that if you are just watching this video because you like me, you already won your championship, then thank you very much. I love you guys. I hope everyone who's playing the Week 18 championship can eat that W, famous Jameis Winston style as well. I love you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your guys' day. As always, good boy.